Every time the Lith released engineering commanders, we were super excited. Not because we thought they were great, but because they extend the time between the release of quote-unquote actual commanders from archers, infantry or cavalry. And this gives, especially to free-to-play and low spenders, extra bit of time to gather more sculptures to invest on the next commander. But one man thought the otherwise. In fact, he believes ranged combat and engineering commanders are perfect for free-to-plays and low spenders. And of course, I decided to interview that guy, Mr. Siege. His YouTube link will be in the description. Make sure to check it out, and in this interview, you will find answers to all your questions regarding siege units, range combat, and engineering commanders. Without further ado, let's go. Mr. Siege, welcome to Spartan Gaming. Let me start by asking you this question, and you can introduce yourself with the question as well. How and why you became a siege main, and how did you become the Mr. Siege, like the siege guy of the community?
Well, thank you for having me, of course. I'm really happy to be on your channel. Obviously, I've been a subscriber to you for a long time, way before I was a content creator. But Siege is what brought me to this game. So how did I become a Siege main? And I became a Siege main mainly because I was an infantry main before, and I was just getting really bad trades. I had a ton of lag in big fights and murder balls, and I was on the verge of quitting the game, basically. Even though I had a full crit legendary set, it just wasn't doing it for me. Playing on a mobile was it's just very, very hard. I know obviously you probably don't have that issue. Many people don't have that issue playing on PC, which is great. But yeah, mobile gamers like me, you may be in a similar situation. So obviously I saw Margaret and Baba got released. Obviously we'd heard a bit of that in coming up in updates, and watched the Chisel video as you do. Saw how good they were even at close range, and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose here. So I gave it a go. Got them to 5-5-1-1. Did a bit of messing around, and actually really enjoyed it. They were trading well, even with infantry troops and equipment. So I bit the bullet, trained some T5 Siege, what equipment I could get hold of at the time, and it was just a game changer for me from there. So I expertise them, and I've never looked back. And obviously, I'm still investing them in today. So
At least to me, I'm an old head. Like, it's very surprising to me that someone saying these things about a siege march, which is insane. Can we quickly go over the pros and cons of siege units or using siege units in the open field?
yeah, of course. So start with the pros. Obviously, they trade amazingly, and they have great equipment. Probably the best. They do have the best legendary equipment in the game in terms of stats. The stats are just way better. And if you don't even have a legendary set of equipment, you can still get crazy results on the field, even with like crit harvester sets and other gathering sets. You can still get decent siege stats on. And obviously, it's low. You can have low cost with just using animal bone, which is pretty mad, really. Obviously, they can automatically fire, which is so useful, especially if you're busy. You could be at work, you could be sorting the kids out, doing housework, and you can still keep on fighting without having a great deal of concentration, which is just a game changer for me personally. They have like amazing debuffs. They're supporting your frontline troops as well as having a long period of time on the field, a better longevity basically, and they can inflict those debuffing effects longer. I'm also talking about the 40% defense reduction of Margaret and 20% from Guardian Marder, obviously if you own those, of course. And I like to run a dagger with my my main march, and that even reduces the health of the enemy troops too. So an amazing amount of debuffs supporting your teammates, which I think is important because a lot of people think the siege is selfish. So obviously we can probably get onto that in a bit. They're hard to get close to. Obviously, they can tuck them away behind murder balls. You can be behind cities, next to nodes. But if they do get close, even at melee range, they're super strong. You may have seen it on previous videos. A particular pairing pretty much beats any March 1v1 with the same stats. Or like they've both got no equipment. I can beat Huo Nevsky, Nevsky Joan, and Gorgo Luce pretty mad, really.
Yeah,
They're
that's
actually
insane.
really, really,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is insane. It's quite surprising. Probably a lot of people don't realise that how strong they are 1v1, and this actually makes them a great use in Canyon. So I think they can potentially be better than normal pairing in Canyon, which I'll explain the reasons a bit later on in our interview, because obviously we'll go through some of the events you can use them in and why they could be used for that. In terms of cons, obviously having to enter and exit tower mode, that kind of sucks sometimes. Although it's been reduced to 8 seconds, which isn't too bad. I mean, if you notice someone marching towards you, you can sort of get out of it and get escape. It's an escape, but that depends on your positioning. So you have to be smart with positioning. A bit of an issue with the legendary equipment. It's actually not that well available. You can't get it in equipment chests, nor in KvK shop, or the Lucerne scrolls, which is kind of annoying. Obviously, I've been on at Lilith about this for quite some time, so maybe it'll change, possibly not.
Yeah. By the way, can you show the equipment on your main march so people can see it?
Yeah, my equipment's pretty decent. We're getting there with it. Obviously, I'm a low spender, so it takes time. It takes time to get this sort of equipment, but the stats on the equipment is like I said before, is amazing. You get 14.5 on 3 of these pieces, which the base stats are just completely higher than some of the other stats on some of the other legendary equipment. Your 12% or your 11%, or even on the boots you've got 8% there, which is actually quite decent. But on your Margaret March you're getting 10% plus march speed.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about it. Sorry for the interruption, but are you usually faster than an infantry or not?
Yes,
With this set at least.
With this set, I'm pretty much on par with the cavalry march. So I actually did a video, and I got a couple of guys in my kingdom to say, like, who's got a meta cavalry march? I want to start like 70 kilometers away from the city, 100 kilometers away from the city. I'll be in a tower. You start outside of range. See if you can catch me before I get back to my city. And I absolutely wipe the floor with them. This is mainly down to Margaret, to be honest. Her talent tree with the support tree is really, really good. So she's got hasty departure. In the engineering talent tree, we've also got swift maneuvers, which gain 15% march speed. And she also has a skill, siege unit march speed bonus, 20%. So that's another bonus. And Gonzalo also has a 15% march speed bonus. And then you've got 27% on the set. Yeah, you've got a huge march speed bonus. And yeah, they're actually really, really quick. Like I say, especially when you're pairing Margaret and Cordoba together, which is kind of my favourite pair. Cordoba's just unreal. Again, gathering gear is actually really decent. And this just costs mainly just animal bones apart from
Yeah, that's
the weapon
crazy. Yeah,
and
yeah.
gloves. It's just really, really versatile, and you can pretty much get away with anything.
I see. So, can I ask you about like how does everything else feels besides field fighting, such as like events, like PvE events, Roli, Canyon, or Champions of Olympia, etc.?
Yeah, so in Canyon, I think they're excellent. As you can see, my siege marches are actually really good. I mean, I'll do a bit of a replay. You can watch it,
Yeah.
and they're actually really useful. Obviously, they stay in that position, and I keep them quite widespread. So the enemy troops have actually got to march between the towers. They're not gaining any rage. They're not getting off any active skills. But I am still. They work really, really well, surprisingly. I mean, Baba and Gorjamada at the top there are really, really tanky. They last forever. Look how long it's lasting with getting swarmed by 4 marches there. And but yeah, in terms of other events, they do struggle. I use them in Soroli, but again, with some of the Soroli, you have to be quite mobile. You got to escape some of the active skills they do, moving in and out, escaping poison. It's quite hard, but I do use them for it. In terms of Olympia, I don't really play Olympia. It's really one of those events
Like many people,
I've never
huh?
liked it. I mean, a lot of people join me with that. Yeah,
Yeah, well, like
I'm not.
people mainly plays it for like 2 gold heads, I guess. I mean, that's at
Yeah,
least what I play it for.
yeah. I'll just get the gold heads and then just basically quit after that. I don't enjoy it. They're decent in Golden Kingdom because it's basically similar to Canyon, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in terms of events, yeah, they're okay. But you are better really with
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
your normal march. I mean, a cav march is generally perfect because you got the mobility.
Exactly.
Huo
Yeah.
Nevsky, it is better.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you my next question because it's kind of related to pros and cons of siege units. Let's say I decide to become a siege main. Do you prefer or do you recommend becoming a purist or just a main? Like let's say you have 1 infantry, 1 archer, 1 cavalry, and 2 siege marchers, for example. Like how hard is it to play with your siege marchers while also controlling your regular marchers?
I tend to use a couple of marches at open field initially. I'll use Guan and Scipio. I actually dismantled my legendary gear. This used to be a full legendary set because I wanted to make the immolating plume, which is probably a bit of a waste.
I believe you think horn and ring is just better because of the little damages from the commanders, I guess.
Correct. So the way the plume works, it'll work on any direct damage factors, smite damage or skill damage. But the trouble with siege commanders at the moment is their active skills. Some of the active skills are very, very small. I mean, Margaret's active skill here is 600. Cordoba 200 direct damage factor here, and the plume could trigger on that skill. And obviously, that's not going to be as effective as if it triggered on his active skill, the pike and shot pioneer. And that's the same with Gauge Yamada. Again, his active skill does an extra direct damage factor of 200, which again, the plume could activate on this. So in terms of damage, the ring is actually better at this stage. But I do love the dagger because that's just helping your allies, you know what I mean? We're just reducing the health on those frontline troops. It's just a less selfish move to have something like that in your accessories.
Yeah, so we sidetrack a little bit, but back to question. Do you think, a person who decides to become a siege main should main or should become a purist?
I don't recommend people become a siege main or a purist. Well, definitely not a purist because you need field marches on the field. I do like to use field troops where I can, but unfortunately for me being a low spender, limited on materials, gold heads, they're just not cutting it for me, and it's not efficient for me to field those troops. I guess if you're going to run two siege marches and then one of each of the other troops, I think that's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get fantastic trades off those siege marches, even if the others aren't up to scratch. But that's probably more of a whale move, someone that's got plenty of speed ups and resources, because running field troops can be very costly unless you've got fantastic legendary gear with probably decent iconic tiers too.
That was actually one of my next questions, so let's talk about on that. Normally my next 2 questions were best siege commanders to invest and best marches if running 2 siege marches, but it is pretty clear because I know, and probably many people know who watched your videos, your main march is Margaret and Cordoba, and your second march is Babur and Gajamada. But here's my question, because I think this is going to be more interesting. Let's say, hypothetically, you are coming off from KvK 2, you are going to go into KvK 3, all commanders are going to become available. You're going to invest into 2 siege marches, or 1. You can either expertise a full march, 2 commanders, 1 full expertise march, or you can low invest on all 4 siege commanders. Which road would you take?
I personally would invest in the 1 march and expertise them, because Margaret and Cordoba are so ridiculously overpowered at range. They're getting so many kills. If you focus that march, you're going to get upwards of 20 million kills in a KvK, or at least you should do, with just the 1 march. And that's a massive whack out of that 30 million kills you want to aim for. I mean, I got 26 million kills with Margaret and Cordoba this KvK. Baba and Gajamada were absolutely fine. They got me like about 9 million kills between them. But yeah, if you're going to go 5-5-1-1 on them, you're not really going to benefit massively. Not as massive you could do with just the 1 pure damage kicking march with Margaret and Cordoba, in my opinion.
I see. So speaking of low investments, what are the minimum investments on siege commanders? But I'm not saying to make them, usable, but I'm saying so that you can decide, okay, siege is for me, I like the playstyle, I like what I'm doing, or okay, it's not for me, I'm a traditional guy, I'm just going to go infantry, cavalry, archers. At what stage of investment I can say that, okay, I like the siege or I don't like the siege?
Well, I know a ton of people that are getting fantastic trades at 5-5-1-1 with both commanders, Margaret and Cordoba, or you can actually run Cordoba, Gauge, Yamada, Margaret Cordoba does the most damage in a short period of time, but Cordoba Gargemard is a little bit more tanky. But even with the Harvester set, like you've got here, and both commanders at 5-5-1-1, you will get great trades. Probably 2-to-1, 3-to-1 trades, even with little investment into crystal tech. I mean, I don't invest into crystal tech at all. I'll just get the premium crystal supply as a minimum. $5, which is pretty mad, really. 38 million kills in a KvK with max commanders. But yeah, 5-5-1-1 is a minimum investment. You're better off at 5-5-1-5 for the crazy debuffs on this skill, the 40% defense reduction. 5-5-1-1 is quite a little investment, and I think it's surprising people will actually enjoy using it. I know it gets a bit of stick, and people say, "Oh, it's a little bit boring," but it's actually not. I actually have so much fun using it, and I don't get angry at the game because my phone's lagging. Which makes a big difference to me,
Yeah, it's
really.
a little bit painful. Like when I was playing on the phone, I can see it. There's literally a march inside our murder ball. I target it, and the next second I'm in the enemy's murder ball. Like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, you get dragged away, and the next minute you're being swarmed by about 20 marches, and you're just trading negative then, aren't you? Obviously.
Yeah, that is insane. Right, so I think it's very clear that what should we invest when it comes to commanders. We already touched on the equipment a little bit, but my question is, again, it's going to be a little bit specific. When you are transitioning from blue to epic gear and from epic to legendary gear, what are the equipment priorities?
I'd say if you have max commanders, you will trade amazingly with a blue set like the Harvester set. I'd definitely recommend getting to crit first. In terms of what I'd upgrade, like I said, if you start off with a Harvester set, I'd probably upgrade the weapon and gloves first, as you can see on Cordoba. Otherwise, you're going to have to go for like the Forest Guardian set. And the stats on there, they're just not up to scratch, really. You got 4% there and 6% here on the weapon, but the epic weapon and gloves quite a bit better with a 13% attack with 2% march speed, and obviously the gloves got a bit of march speed on as well. So I'd probably avoid the Forest Guardian set unless you've got plenty of blueprints and materials that you can just waste on those, but they just won't give you the stats you wanted. From there, I'd either upgrade whatever you have blueprints for. So obviously you'll have some of the epic blueprints because you'll get them from the equipment chest. You will obtain these from there. Obviously, it's a legendary gear that's hard to obtain. Once you get to the sort of point where you're going to be upgrading to legendary gear, I'd probably focus on the helm, the chest piece, and the legs because the stats on those are so high. Plus, you get the 4% march speed on each piece. And obviously, I'm saying these because they are part of the 4-piece set, and the 4-piece set will give you 5% siege unit defense and a 5% skill damage, which is okay. After you got those three, I'd probably, it's just a choice between the whichever one you've got next with the gloves or the boots. Really, it doesn't really matter. They're both the same stats on these.
That is exactly what I wanted to ask you. But what is the difference for iconics for boots and the gloves? If it's the same, and if it's not the same, what are your iconic upgrade priorities on the legendary gear for siege?
On this gloves, it's enemy attack ignored by 1%. With the boots, there's a 1% siege unit attack, but there is a march speed bonus on the level 4 of 5%, which is also nice. I'd say there's nothing crazy on these iconic tiers. When you get to a stage where you think, well, I've got nothing else to do, then I would go for those. But
yeah, basically just to min-max your march, I guess.
Yeah, you might as well if you've got the blueprints and you've got the materials, then you do it. But at the stage I'm at, I'm just trying to work on 3 sets of equipment, look into the future of another siege march if we get 2 more engineering commanders. And obviously that's a big if. We don't know what Lurth is going to do. They might not even bring out any more engineering commanders.
What is your favorite civilization? And what's the city skin that you are using right now? And what will be the most ideal city skin for, let's say, a very high spender who can have access to pretty much any city skin?
Yeah, you'd probably have the troop health, basically the Zenith skins you can get hold of. I haven't got the luxury of owning a Zenith skin. Obviously, I can't compete with some of the nearby kingdoms, which are absolutely crazy. If you do have a Zenith skin, obviously you're going to benefit massively. The troop attack would be nice. I do prefer attack stats on a ranged march. Obviously, we're probably going to get onto this at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible transition, because that's the next thing that I wanted to ask
this
you.
is it. So it's a little bit different the way that siege stats work, and that's because basically you're not receiving any active skills, or at least you shouldn't be, because you're firing at range. And the way I look at it is you want to do as much damage as possible over a shorter period of time. And the only way of doing that is with your attack stats. Your health stats will make you a bit more tanky. They'll probably get you less troops in the hospital. But as an engineering main or siege main, I'm not too bothered about that. I've got plenty of resources. I don't mind healing my hospital. You usually don't end up with that many troops in your hospital anyway. I'm running the France civilization, which obviously we did mention before, which civilization, which obviously gives me a hospital healing speed of 20%, plus a bit of troop health, which is fine. And this is mainly for the hospital healing speed. Really, siege need a special civilization. There's a lot of people calling for it, but again, maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. But like I say, attack stats I think are amazing, because you're going to do more damage over a short period of time. And as long as you're not being directly hit, it really shouldn't matter too much about the health and defense. Not really. Obviously, you will end up getting less troops severely wounded back in your hospital if you've got higher health and defense. Because you're probably limited on the amount of time you're actually in combat as well. You've got to move about a little bit.
And just because you are so different on the field from anyone else, they immediately notice you, and it's like you become a mental target.
And you do get targeted a lot. I mean, a lot of the time you're held up absolutely fine. Some of marches like Baba and Garjamada, they're so tanky. These pair beat pretty much anyone 1v1 because of the 70% health bonus.
Yeah, insane amount of health bonus. Yeah. And by the way, I completely forgot about that one, but can we quickly go through your armaments? And as a siege player, armaments or inscriptions that you need to work towards? Like, is there an inscription or anything that, let's say, reduces the time that you become and dismantle your tower? Like, it's like cooldown reduction.
That would be a great inscription, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, that would be decent. I mean, I've got a couple of legendary inscriptions. I've got drilled, and this is where the wielder's troop gains a 5% to boost to normal damage dealt, which is nice because obviously we've got smite damage. When attacking from range, for every 20% of units target is lost, the wielder's troop gains a 3% bonus to range normal damage dealt, up to a maximum of 12%.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
That's one of the legendary ones. It's pretty decent. To be honest, there's a lot of inscriptions are absolutely fine for siege. I mean, I've only got the normal inscriptions here. I've not got any rare ones yet. I've not had any luck with those. We've got ballistics here, which is a range specific.
That is specific for
which is decent. Again, counter-attack damage. I do have sharpshooter there, which is very similar to the other one. Gains a 5% boost to range normal damage dealt. I think I'll be able to get another one of those as KvK. I think it's in the KvK shop, actually.
Oh, I see. So there are plenty of inscriptions for like specific to range units.
Yeah, they're all there. It's just taking time to acquire them.
If a person wants to become a siege main, I mean, not a siege main, but let's say the first march they want to invest is Margaret Cordoba, right? They are like, they watched your videos and they really like what they see. So, okay, this is the first match that I want to invest in Season of Conquest. How should they, like, what they need to do in KvK 1 and 2?
A little bit similar to what you do with any other troop type, I guess. I mean, I've not got the experience of this because it's been a long time since I've been in KvK 1 and 2. And obviously, siege, the siege marches are just gatherers at that point in Rise of Kingdoms. But again, I guess you just save gold heads and materials and just wait until the commanders are available. And then in the meantime, I guess you just have to try and run, your epic infantry commanders, probably your Sun Tzu, and maybe you do a low investment in Richard at 5511.
Just get through that stage, I guess.
Yeah, just trying to get through it. It's hard though because you want to try and perform to a certain standard in KvK 1 and 2 anyway, don't you? But there's not a lot else you can do. But I suppose, like I say, if you're running other troop types, you're going to be saving gold heads and materials. Well, I suppose materials not so much because you can still forge the equipment, can't you? But you probably save gold heads to invest in, like your Liu Che or your Nevsky, your Huo, your Joan.
Yeah, you're
Those
saving the
sort
gold
of things.
heads anyways. For example, I started my account like 100 days ago, and I
Yeah,
almost have like 600 gold heads. I haven't spent like a single gold head on any commander. So you are saving your gold heads anyways.
yeah,
And I think you just, even though you have the blueprint and you have the materials, just don't craft any legendaries for other troop types, I guess, if you want to become a siege main, because you can always
yeah.
dismantle your
Correct.
epics to get all the materials back. When you dismantle a legendary, you only get the half of it.
Yeah,
So don't
yeah.
craft
It
any
hurts.
legendaries at least. If there are anyone who wants to like become a, or at least invest on a siege march as their first SOC march. Like,
Yeah,
all right, great.
yeah.
So yeah,
You've
please go
really got
ahead.
to play. You've really got to play smart in KvK 1 and 2, up to when you can get your better commanders. And unfortunately, I didn't.
Many of us did the same anyways back in the day.
Yeah, I was a fairly high spender back then. You know, I did put a lot of money in the game, and looking back at it now, at this stage in SOC, I'm getting no value from the money I invested back then. Of course, though, until now, unless people invest in engineering commanders, because really the longevity of engineering commanders in the game, Margaret and Cordoba are forever going to trade well at range. As long as you're not getting attacked at melee range, of course. I mean, if they bring out better and better commanders and they're hitting you directly, then obviously it's going to be harder. You're going to struggle. But as long as you're safe, you know, you can hop in a city, hop in a node, run away. You're still going to be trading positive all the time.
By the
If
way,
you are a low spender
yeah,
or a
please go
free to
ahead.
play, I think it's a fantastic investment, a siege march.
And that's what I was about to interrupt you, because you said, for example, hop in a note, run away, or for a low
Yeah.
spender like free to play, it's a great option. Can you give us general tips for a siege player?
An important thing is you have to have War Frenzy for your auto targeting to work. So some people just think, well, you stick a siege march out, and then all you do is just auto target. You're absolutely fine,
Hmm.
but it won't actually hit troops unless you're in War Frenzy. Plus, it won't actually hit troops in range if you or your allies aren't already in contact with them. And also in situations where it's a bit of a stalemate, so you've got two murder balls that have met and it's a very even battle. Your siege towers really, really excel in those situations where you're not having to move them about that much. Um, so I think that's a good tip. If you can get into those situations and you can use them in altar battle, you'll do fantastically well. In one altar battle, I got 4 million kills, and in another altar battle, I got like 3.5 million kills, like a total of 7 million kills in two altar battles with just one march. I think's pretty decent.
A quick question. Do you, let's say, put another march to the gate, let's say Babur and Gajahmada, or you just strictly play with your Margaret and Cordoba?
Yeah, no, I have my Babu and Gorge Armada at the gate ready, just to be on the field fighting, just like anyone
Hmm.
else is, as much time as possible.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be waiting 5 or 10 minutes for another troop to get in the altar. Even if you just throw that troop right towards the front line, which I tend to do with Babu Gorge Armada, at least you're getting some kills. You're going to trade positive, and again, you're helping push on the altar battle. Um, Definitely have another march, and then when you Margaret and Cordoba then are at the pass, doesn't matter. Stick him right at the front line, and hopefully he dies, and then get the Margaret Cordoba back on the field. And obviously she gets there really, really fast with just hopping nodes. She'll be there in like less than a minute, so you're not off the field for too long.
Yeah, that's good. So you just go all in, you set face your Babur march, so they come back faster, I guess.
Yeah. Always sad face in the altar. I mean,
Hmm.
everyone should know that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Another great tip is you're certainly best to situate your tower in a reasonably safe location. So either near an ally city or a node where you can sort of easily run away to safety if needed. You've got to play it a bit smarter with a tower. It's not like your field march where you don't have to worry about dismantling a tower. Obviously, if in a 1v1 situation, you'll be okay. But if five marches are coming towards you, you're definitely going to want to run away. Really.
Yeah, I see. So about the tower mode, another question, noob question. When you are in tower mode, can you do other actions or do you need to manually dismantle first? And for example, while I'm in tower mode, I clicked on an empty node. Is the march just become normal in like 7 or 8 seconds and go to the node? Or do I need to dismantle my tower first and then go to the node in 2 separate actions?
You can see the march speed after leaving the city is pretty.
Yeah,
Pretty
that is
decent.
like cavalry. When you look
Yeah.
at a dot mode, you'll probably think that that's cavalry.
Pretty much. So if we set a tower up, we can switch it like that. Obviously, we can position wherever we want to.
Uh-huh.
I think yes. Is it like 8? I think it's 7 seconds to put
Yeah, I
up,
guess.
8 seconds to take down. But obviously, you can just drag your tower straight to a node or a city.
Oh,
and
okay.
then
So no 2 separate actions. That's great. Yeah.
No, it just start dismantling straight away,
Yeah.
and then obviously it'll just head into that node.
Then you can just run away or try to catch up
And
a lot
then
faster.
basically you're pretty much free then.
I see. You just became a normal march.
Yeah. I mean, T5 are a little bit slower, but yeah, definitely look at the video that I ran away from a cavalry march, and yeah, it just so much quicker, especially like say hopping nodes, pretty fast, really.
Right. So a question about investment, commander investment. I actually forgot to ask you that one. If you have only enough sculptures to expertise either Margaret or Cordoba, and let's say get the other one to 5511, which one would you expertise first?
Well, obviously with Cordoba being the newest and the one with the AoE, I'd probably go for him first, but it depends how quickly you could then max the other commander, really. So if we go to Margaret, her second skill, obviously if you'd be going to like 5515, she's actually got a little bit better stats than Cordoba has on his second skill. Again, with her defense reduction, I just think that's so overpowered. If you could get Margaret to 5515 and max Cordoba, I think that's probably the way to go. But if you can only max one and get the other to 5511 until new commanders are released, I guess you just get Margaret to 5511 and still max Cordoba, because if they bring out another AoE commander, you probably want to pair them together, and you're going to want to invest in the new AoE commander, really.
Yeah, I see. So do you have any closing words?
Yeah, I do actually. So first of all, take no notice of the haters.
Wait, first of all, subscribe to Mr. Siege. Okay, go ahead.
Of course, yeah. Take no notice of the haters. So there are usually people who have no idea how useful engineering commanders are on the field, like I've explained in this interview. Mainly because they have no experience at all and don't realise how beneficial they are to other field marches. So that's one point I'd like to point out, basically. But again, Siege is super free to play, friendly, and actually fun to use. So another creator, I don't know if you heard of 68 Bus Driver. He's recently invested in a Siege march, and he's actually had loads of fun with it so far. I think he was actually quite surprised in how fun it can be to operate and use, and actually pair with other field marches, because he's using it as a 7th march. But yeah, just like many of my followers do, they just love running Siege, and I love running it. I think it's loads of fun. It's quite tactical, and it's just a different way of playing. And remember, I don't spend hundreds on Crystal Tech, just $5. So you don't need to either. I reached 38 million kills in a KvK, this KvK, so 650 million kill points without a Kingsland battle. Yeah, individually, I mean, I got my 30 million kills quite easily early on. As you can see, even up to now, there's 2 days left in KvK. I've still not even reached spending 75 million crystals. Just $5 on crystal tech. It's pretty mad, and I'm getting a million kills in one report in an altar fight.
Looking from outside, I would say the biggest benefit of it, looks like that's at least what I would guess, is because you are trying something that not many people are brave enough, I should say, because you're investing a lot of materials and sculptures. And now you got great results. And I bet after like months or maybe even years in Rise of Kingdoms, you are probably that could be the very first times that you cannot wait for the next KvK.
Yeah, I'm like looking forward to it all the time. And yeah, I mean, I could start another KvK tomorrow and be absolutely fine with it.
That's amazing. Mr. Siege, thank you so much for taking your time and joining and telling us pretty much at least what we need to know for to start looking at siege units. Because if you guys decide to main or at least invest on a siege march, what you need to do is not just this video, of course, link will be in the description. Go ahead and check out the YouTube channel of Mr. Siege, and also you can head over and join his Discord, discuss or ask questions to himself about siege units, commanders, equipment, etc. Mr. Siege, thank you so much for joining.
Absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful you've asked me to be on your channel. Continue to keep up the good work, Spartan. Take care, buddy.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I see you guys on the next one, and maybe if I decide to invest on a siege march, and after this interview, I actually might, because I have so many sculptures already saved for my KvK 3. Maybe we will have Mr. Siege on the channel again, coaching our account. How about that?
Anytime, buddy. No problem at all.
All right, that is great. Goodbye, Mr. Siege. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching again. See ya.